And we are live.
Hi, everybody. Anybody there?
Hello.
We're live and we're alive.
Live and alive. Wow, how fantastic is it that we got here and we don't have to have any of the stress you guys had in the last stream because it's already funded.
Yeah.
Wow, how fantastic is it that
this is just an after party.
We got here and we don't have to have any of the stress you guys had in the last stream because it's already funded. Oh. Wow, how fantastic is it? That's just We're getting an echo. You know, it's just not a stream without gremlins, is it? It's just not.
It's just, absolutely.
If we don't have gremlins, it's not worth it. I mean, Alan's dropped out again, but yeah, no, guys. Anyway, fantastic! Congratulations. My heart's been in my mouth all day. That's me as a supporter, a backer. So how was it for you guys coming down to the wire like it did?
You know, it was. You never like when these things come down to the wire. I never lost hope that we would get there, but at the same time, you never take it for granted ever. And when the guys in Skeletron got in touch and said that they, look, we will match fund the pledges in the last 24 hours. It was a huge source of relief, but at the same time, you're still hopeful that there'll be enough pledges in the last 24 hours that will match up with the guys' match funding to get it over the line. And to be fair, Ben and Skeletron were great. They came through what they promised, and then the backers were also great because the backers have come through by coming on board in the last 24 hours. And it really has been wonderful to see everybody rally behind Bob to help make this thing a reality.
The response, I think the response all along's been great. But this last 25, this last 6-7 hours has been incredible. And I've been so proud to see so many people come together and just make the final push, all the people that shared it. So Bob, how are you feeling? More importantly, your book, your story, it's going to be out there.
I'm feeling a bit rough at the moment, Nick.
But, sorry to hear that.
But great. Big thanks for Brian for believing in this at the beginning, and big thanks to other people like Skeletron and Tony Roberts, who sort of set it all off with that great video. So, and you guys for sort of keeping it pushing along the way. You know, all the different forums pushing it, and so yeah, great thanks to you all.
I think as fans and as the broader toy community, the YouTube community, all the collecting groups and everything, I think we all knew we had to back this. We had to, because we know the story to a degree, but we want to hear more. We want the details. We want the pictures. We're crazy and hungry and mad for it. I've just got to stop and say, Salacious Rum, thank you so much. Earlier today, this kind chap, he was the chap I told you, Brian, let me jump on his stream and hijack it. And I know that Bob backed this book on day one, but thank you so much for letting me jump on your stream earlier on today and just take over for a minute, and for you for promoting it, because all these efforts of people really did help. So cheers, Bob. Cheers, Rum.
Cheers, Rum. Thank you.
Same for me. Great.
It's been good to see. So, Brian, what do you mind me asking? Because I mean, I watched the stream earlier, but what steps are ahead of you now to get now the book's funded? Where do you go from now, from here to it arriving in our hands?
Well, you know, the hard work begins now. You think the hard work is done when you get the campaign funded, but actually the hard work starts after it gets funded. So Bob has already done, hey, Scuba Pete, Bob has already done his kind of Trojan work on writing the book. So the book is, just so people are aware, the book is written. The book is written and it's with the editor right now. It's going through an editing process, so that's going to be finalized, very soon. And then of course, I can't remember if we talked about this before. The last time the four of us were together chatting, we have a great image resource that we can draw from, which is coming from some personal collections. It's coming from some image libraries. It's coming from some newspapers, images that I'm contributing, images that Bob is contributing. So we have a huge image bank that we can draw from to illustrate the book. More than we can possibly fit in the book. It's a very, very rich visual data bank that we have. So in terms of that content, that already exists. We don't have to create any new content. So the process from now to getting the books in people's hands is going to involve a design process of actually laying out the book now. So typesetting Bob's words, integrating all the imagery with that, obviously making that look beautiful. Once we have it kind of typeset and ready to go, we go into a proofing process. So we proof the text to make, just for spelling, grammar, even though the editor will have done a pass at that already, it's kind of just an extra layer of quality checks on that front. And then there's also color proofing. So we get proofs done to make sure the images are going to reproduce the way they need to reproduce, the colors are accurate, all of that. And then once we're happy with that, we sign off on that. We book a slot. So they'll say to us, this is your date that it goes to print. And then we go into a production queue with the printers. And once it goes to press, a round of on press proofing. And then it gets printed, it gets bound, and it gets delivered back to us. And then at that stage, we can begin the fulfillment process. So getting the books packaged up and out to backers. And because we've got nearly 500 backers in this campaign, I'm expecting that's going to be a good 4 weeks to kind of get all the books kind of packed and shipped and off to backers. But, everything's being sent express post, so people could expect to get their books. Once we ship them, they'll get them within 3 to 5 working days. If you're places like Australia, Japan, they'll probably take a bit longer. They could take a week and a half, get the books out there.
Oh wow! So that is really quite rapid. I'm so excited to get the book, and I know my son today. He said, "Daddy, I'm going to take that book from you and read it every day," because he's a big fan of Action Man and Action Force, as Alan knows, and Bob. Even before I'd ever met Bob, I once messaged Bob and said my son's a massive fan of Action Man, and Bob really kindly sent a message back with some pictures of him at a show. So this is the kind of thing Bob does for us fans. Another reason why I really everyone wanted to help support this. But Bob, how long has it been from? Has it been years, months? When did you first decide that you wanted to document your Palitoy story in a book format?
Oh, over 10 years. Yeah, over 10 years.
You were working on it at the time of the 50th anniversary, weren't you? Because that's when Bob Simpson's daughter contacted me, and I put you in touch with her. And you were already working on it then, so that was 2016. So that's
well, it's before then.
Yeah, that's what I say. It's at least that long.
Yeah, I was putting things down on paper before then. And then I got into doing illustrated talks, to local groups and that about the history of Palitoy, and I was thinking, well, this ought to be a book. And then of course. We came up with the Many Faces of Palitoy project, where we got the money from the lottery fund to do an exhibition in 2019 at the same place where the Action Man convention's being held, and that project not only involved the exhibition but also archiving things, and it's all done with through Colville Heritage Society, which has now got a website out, by the way, which
Yes.
you go on. And
Fantastic.
it's still in its early days, because I've still got to put all photographs I've got on and lots of other things and all the archive material. But it's early days, so we've got to build on that. But at the same time, we were interviewing people, former employees. We interviewed Bob Simpson, you know, who was managing director right through that golden period of the 70s. And we interviewed a lot of the marketing people that were involved in marketing the products. Some of the designers like Greg Hughes and Brian Turner we interviewed. Roger Morrison we interviewed. So they'll all those interviews will be going on the website, on the Colville Heritage website.
Yes.
So
Excellent.
So so and then I thought, well, I need to get this flipping book out eventually, because I spend a lot of time, you know, working with the Colville Heritage. So I started looking for somewhere how to publish it, and I wasn't getting anywhere really. You know, the Action Man dossier book.
Yeah.
I went to them, but they weren't interested. I went to some others, which were the people that make those small books, you know, about history, you know, like the history of trams or something like that sort of companies, you know, and history of this and history of that. But I didn't get anywhere there. I went to a self-publishing place, but I said to them, how much do you think this book's going to, because they were interested, they read the script, they thought it was great. How much do you think this book is going to sell for? They said $11.99. I thought, flipping heck, it's got to be worth more than that. And then I thought, Brian, why didn't I go to Brian? So I contacted Brian and said, do you want to read my manuscript of this book, Brian? He says, well, send it over. I'll leave Brian to tell you the rest.
You know what? So glad.
Take it away, Brian.
Yeah, so glad that Bob sent that over to me, because and I'd known that Bob had mentioned to me when we were researching and interviewing Bob for Total Action Force, the Battle Years, that he was working on a book, and so I knew this was something that he was working on in the background. And when he reached out to me, I didn't even have to think about, like, I knew this was a project I wanted to work on. And I'm so honored that he did consider me, Bob, for this project. And you know, it's
you should have been the first, Brian. You should have been the first. I'm sorry.
We got there at the end.
Save the best till last.
So the best till last. That's it. But you know, it's happening now, which is great. And you know, as we kind of work through that kind of design process, we'll be sharing some images from the book as it's coming together. So that's part of that sort of design process, and keeping backers updated. So for anyone who's maybe new to the Kickstarter process, we can send you a message. We can send the backers messages through Kickstarter. So they'll get an email from Kickstarter, but it's coming from us, and it'll be an update on where things are at with the project. So we'd expect to be sending updates fairly regularly. And as pages are being designed and rolled out, people will get to see a taster of what that's going to look like. So hopefully that will just whet appetites even more, and you know, and get the backers excited for what they're going to receive. We're saying April 2024 to get the books in hand, but we're going to be doing our very best to bring it in a bit sooner than that if we can.
That's excellent. That's excellent. So I guess
promise and over deliver.
100%.
That's the way to do it. So I guess the next step will be who's going to play Bob in the inevitable film adaptation of his life. I'm going to go for Jason Statham.
Yeah, okay. I could think of some.
So this has obviously been a very long road, and the first big hurdle's over, and we're looking, as you say, April next year, and you've got all this work, and there's going to be all these exciting updates for us all. I know personally, April next year can't come soon enough. Not to wish my life away, but I'm so keen to read this book. I think on the first stream we did, Bob read a little snippet from the book, and that really got me excited. And so, Brian, this is this is going into me asking. So obviously you read the manuscript or the script, whatever you want to call it, and how did you feel reading it? Obviously you really liked it because you fully supported it and it's got there. But how did you feel knowing that you were the chap to be ultimately picked, the guy brought on board, the guy that was to bring it to where it is now? Did you feel pressure, joy? What was there, a mix of emotions there with all that?
I didn't feel any pressure, but I did feel honored. I felt honored that Bob trusted me enough to reach out and ask me to come on board. So that was amazing. As I read the script, I was blown away that this book was much more than what I was expecting it to be, and in all the good ways. It's a history of Palitoy, like you know, from the very inception right through to its eventual demise. Very comprehensive, but Bob weaves in social history that was a massive impact on the toy industry in general, and also brings to life such an amazing history of the toy industry itself. Like this is far more than just a history of a single company. It's a very all encapsulating history of an industry, the social history that influenced it, the business history that changed it into what it is today. And Palitoy has this beautiful kind of shining moment in that history until it became a casualty of the globalization of the toy industry. And it's a beautiful story that's told, and the people of Palitoy are the heroes in the story. They get really and I mean that the people story behind this comes across. The designers that Bob talks about, the marketing people Bob talks about them, the managerial people are all, their stories are told by Bob, and well, their passion, their enthusiasm, their innovation, their creativity. Palitoy was something special, and they became the best company in Britain. It wasn't an accident. It was real passion, real skill, real innovation put them into that place, and it was a real team effort. So we're all very lucky that a member of that team has put this book together, and we're all going to get a chance to enjoy it.
I'm definitely looking forward to it, and I like what Bob said, something to the effect of it's his story told from his point of view. What was it you said? It's not the definitive story, but it's your story. Or I may be misquoting there, Bob.
No, you got it exactly right there, Nick. Because everybody who worked at Palitoy has got their own story. I think they've all got a story that it was a great company to work for, and it was a happy place to work for during those golden periods of the 70s. But I'm coming from it from one point of view, you know, as a designer of a team of designers, working amongst, you know, all the other departments within the company. So that's why I try and, at the beginning, I say, you know, this is my story, but it's not the definitive story. Somebody else, Bob Simpson, for instance, who's now passed away, if he'd have written the book about Palitoy, it'd be completely different to mine. Or Bill Pugh, my boss, you know, he'd have a different story. Somebody working on the factory floor, you know, putting the bum hole into tiny tears, you know. She was a different story. But, you understand what I mean?
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah.
It's definitely my story, but not the definitive story.
There's always, you know, multiple sides to a story, and the truth lies somewhere in the middle. But
that's right. Well,
yeah. Right, well, we don't get super chats, but there's still a few comments here that bear sharing, so I'll run through a few of them for you guys.
Please do.
We've got, let's see, Space Commander, one for you, Nick.
Nick, would your lad appreciate a Space Force Cadet? Oh, definitely. He's seen you on the he's seen you on the stream with Zazel and that, and when TJC's popped on, he's a big fan of you. he's gutted that I got to meet you and you didn't. He'd absolutely love that. That would be fantastic. Thank you.
Okay. Josiah Alcorn says, dude, that was so awesome on Toy Connections to see it go over the line and get the real-time reactions, which makes it even better for us because we can just be an after party now.
Absolutely. And just to say, Bob, this is the beer that you said I could have earlier. So thank you very much.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You think this is where we get to the everyone has a different version of the story? I thought Bob was offering to buy you a beer.
Well, no, the truth is I put a comment in there saying, is it okay? Can I have a beer now that the book's funded? If Bob says yes, my wife won't frown at me. So there's the pre-build up to it because yes, well, I may have got a wee bit tiddly yesterday at the, you know what kids' birthday parties are like. Once all the kids have crashed out, the adults stay there drinking. So I thought be a bit tentative today, maybe be a bit more relaxed with it.
Next one from Salacious Rum. Congratulations.
Oh, Rum.
Yes. But you know, Salacious Rum has been a great supporter of the Action Force books, and a great follower of my posts on Instagram. And so, Salacious Rum, thank you so much. Your comments, your posting, your support has not gone unnoticed, and is greatly appreciated.
So, how does Salacious Rum get a name like that?
Well, how does one explain Salacious Rum? So there's a character in Star Wars called Salacious Crumb, and is it a Kowakian space monkey lizard or something? The little lizard that sits on the end of Jabba the Hutt.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
Well, Rum is, I believe, his cousin or a relation, and he's now. Just bear with me, Bob, on this. he now lives in this universe with an adoptive brother, I believe, called Bob. And Rum's a bit of a cheeky character, so if you ever see him on stream, he's quite close to the line with his humor, but great and very supportive in the community. Him and Bob are. They do a lot for the community. When my channel started, they pulled me on, promoted me. They're good, real supportive guys. So it does not surprise me that they've.
Let me thank Salacious Rum for up in the level to 4.
Okay.
Fantastic.
Keith Knight, Action Man is the best toy ever, and Palitoy the best toy company ever. So it is an honor to be part of this. I'm so looking forward to reading Bob's story.
Brilliant.
Well, I just hope he enjoys it, because I mean, Brian's going to make a fantastic book, no doubt about that. But you know, it's a bit more. What's the word? I can't think of the word, but. It's my story, and he might not like the story.
Well,
too late. Keith,
there is like, you know, you're saying you're an Action Man fan, Keith, and you know there's a great Action Man story in this book. All of the big brands that we associate with Palitoy all get their own space, their own dedicated chapters in this book, and the Action Man story is beautifully told. There's a lot of detail in it. And it'll be beautifully illustrated as well. So it's definitely will not be disappointed at all on that front. You keep your support.
That's my main wish, is that people enjoy it.
It's good to hear you back into collecting vintage Action Man as well. I hope to see you in December at AmCon, Keith.
Oh yes. Well, we'll see how it's going by then, I hope.
Yeah.
Actually, that's a thought. Would you be able to, if you're coming to AmCon, Brian? Do you think you'd have some of the proofs by then that you could bring for people to actually see in hand?
Absolutely. If the book is not finished by then, it'll certainly be very well progressed, and we'd be able to bring, you know, definitely something to show people while we're there. And look, it's probably worth kind of, you know, saying now that what I'll be doing is I'll be setting up after the Kickstarter ends. You know, it's still half an hour left on the Kickstarter campaign, but when that ends, I'll be able to set up a pre-order page. So for anyone who's missed the Kickstarter, or maybe you didn't feel that you could pledge right now at the moment, but you might be able to pledge next month, you'll be able to pre-order the book. So that it'll take me maybe 24, 48 hours to get that up and running. Once that's up and running early next week, people will be able to pledge. So when we get to AmCon in December, I'll definitely have some proofs to show people, And if people want to make a pre-order at that stage as well, again, we can organise something there.
Cool.
Okay. Brilliant.
Let's have a quick look. We've lost. I'd starred those few to read them, so I've got to go back to the live chat now and see what I've missed in the meantime.
Oh yes, Alan. You'll learn with the more live streams you do that the comments do like to jump away. You have an order you're going to attack, then you look back and they've shot up. But I'll let you read that, Bob, because not Bob, sorry, Alan. Bob can read it if he wants, but I haven't got my glasses on and the screen's very tiny.
I don't know who that is. TJC, who's that?
TJC, that's Terry. We met up at the old Palitoy factory when Scuba Pete was over.
Terry was the one with the bald head, wasn't it?
Yeah, I was trying to think of how to say Terry was the bold one, but more diplomatically, Alan. But yes, Terry was the really nice chap. I would have said follically challenged, but Alan's gone straight in there with bold.
Well, I wasn't sure whether to say bald or shaved because I don't know which it is, but why dance around it at the end of the day?
I wouldn't like to assume, but no, Terry is a top guy, very supportive in the community, big fan of all things Palitoy, and yeah, he's a top man. So thanks for tuning in, Terry.
Terry, bring something along in December and I'll sign it then.
Excellent. So,
from one of the Facebook locations that we're streaming to, so I don't get the name, unfortunately.
Facebook user.
Yeah, we're streaming to several Facebook groups as well, Bob, so we don't get the names from people who are watching there.
So it could be a Tiny Tears or a
it
Tracy.
Could be, yeah. Well, no,
it could be a Pippa for all we know.
I'm just going to say I am officially in the market to get myself a Pippa doll, a couple of outfits, and I really want Pippa's car.
That's going to cost you some money, Brian.
I used to save up for that.
Yeah.
I have to do a Kickstarter for that.
They've just had their conference yesterday. They have a conference which is closed.
Oh.
And they it's absolutely amazing. I went when was it? I think it was their 50th when I went along and I gave a talk, and it's an amazing conference, amazing. But the public aren't allowed in. But what a crowd of ladies! Oh, I really enjoyed them.
I would love to go to that.
I'd be well up for going to anything like that.
Well, you'd have to join the Pippa group.
Yeah.
I mean, I first learned about Pippa. It was actually on Toy Palitoy's channel, and he did a video restoring. It was possibly a Pippa vehicle, or a Pippa. It was a Pippa vehicle, and he said that his wife, Mrs. Toy Palitoy, used to have them as a child, and then he got one for her, and now he's sort of fallen in love with Pippa, and now he collects them himself. So.
One of my designs,
Michael Foster.
One of my designs was for Pippa. I designed the Pippa Range Rover camper.
I believe it was the Range Rover that he repaired. Actually, was it pink?
Yes.
Yes, there's a video on him restoring that. Yes, yeah, there is. So there you go. So we know who does that. See, that's the thing. In the community, I'm sure. A lot of us obviously know, Bob, that you were involved with more than just Action Man and Action Force, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's people in some of these groups who will learn about things that they perhaps didn't know, lines you worked on when they get the book. So it's going to be, I think it's going to be very, very interesting for people when they read it. I'm certainly looking forward to seeing things, because it's like when occasionally I'm watching Channel 5 when there's nothing on and there's a top toys of the 70s or 80s come on, and you watch it and occasionally Bob pops up. Yeah. And oh, there's Bob. It's always interesting to see what things you've worked on.
Myself and Bob are on another live stream there early in the week with the guys on Generation Skywalker, and we were talking about the vintage Star Wars stuff from Palitoy, and Bob revealed, and I didn't know this, but you revealed to the guys that there was an Escape from the Death Star board game that you designed. That was pretty cool to hear.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Oh, so see, I have a version of Escape from the Death Star, but it's not the original vintage one. It came with a retro collection figure that was packed in a couple of years ago. They made a Tarkin, so I presume that's the same game.
No. It's
no.
It's not Escape from the Death Star. That's the one that Parker Games designed. It's
right. Okay.
It's Destroy Death Star.
Oh, okay.
And it's not a board. It's not a cardboard board. It's a plastic molding.
Oh,
okay. I'm even more curious now.
Yeah, it was based on a game that I designed called Salvo, and like a battleship game, right? But it's based upon the old Etch-a-Sketch mechanism. Now, you know the Etch-a-Sketch where you turn the two knobs, and when you turn them, it moves a stylus underneath. And the stylus is cutting away through some sand or something, so you can draw a picture. Well, the Salvo, instead of having the stylus underneath, there was a bulb, a light bulb.
Okay.
So, and you had this contraption where you could like a what do you call it? What they have in the Navy for working out things at the sea.
Come on, Alan, you're the man with all this sort of knowledge on things like this.
Well, they had. I can't remember what they called it. It's it's not a predictor. I know what you mean. The thing that calculates the angle to elevate the gun.
Yeah. Well, you can calculate if you've got a battleship there, you can calculate on this thing where it is, right? And then on the calculation thing, the calculator, with the two knobs, you can turn them to certain 2 points, and then you press a button, and the light shines. And if it's underneath the battleship, you want to blow out the water. You've blown it out the water, right? So we adapted that salvo to destroy the Death Star. So you were blowing the X-wings and the TIE fighters out of the sky.
Oh wow, that sounds cool.
That was the only product really that Kenner never did. I mean, they did the Death Star, their version of the Death Star, and we did our card Death Star, but they never did that. You know, they never took it off us to use
There's one toy now. I don't know if you designed it or worked on it, but I saw it on one of these like Channel 5 shows, and it's always intrigued me. And it's not a boy's toy, but did you work on Katie Copycat? Was it Katie Copycat?
No, Katie Copy. That was bought in from Kenner.
Oh, okay, because that always intrigued me the way. You know, even now, I'm not the most technically minded for engineering stuff.
It's a pantograph, basically.
Oh, okay.
So when the child draws, you know, a picture or something, the pantograph takes the same actions underneath in the desk to the doll, and the doll is drawing the same picture but slightly smaller.
Oh, right. So, because pantographing, isn't that how they shrunk down your hand?
Well, that's the toolmaker will use a pantograph with a tooling aid, where he runs over the tooling aid to cut steel in.
You can scale a pantograph so it either produces a 1-to-1 copy, or it can scale down and produce half size or to do double size. So that's how they would have used it to scale Bob's model of his hand down.
And they
fantastic.
Well, but by moving another linkage, you can make it reverse. So, you know, you get the reverse hand.
There you go. See,
I love these analog techniques that are kind of, you know, that are engineered into the vintage toys. It's brilliant.
It is. And I mean, I'm not, as I say, I'm not the most, I've never been in engineering stuff, so it still intrigues. I mean, I can plaster a really nice wall. That's what I do. That's for engineering stuff. I'm not. So I always love hearing about these techniques.
You're gonna have to come and plaster our bathroom wall. It needs plastering.
I'll have to put you on the list, Bob. The amount of people have got something for me to go and plaster. But
Bob can pay.
I'll try and bump you up the list a bit. So have we got there? So G-Force. I've never owned anything Palitoy, but I love Bob's story, kindness, and accessibility. So I have backed his book. That's brilliant, G.
That's very kind. That's very kind of him. Very nice sentiment. That very nice.
We've got this one from Scuba Pete.
I saw that one come up earlier. Yeah, yeah.
We just need to ask where the staple's going.
Is that sort of laying in the nude with the roaster in a sort of position?
Oh, I'd hope it would be a vintage Action Man.
Right. Anyway, moving on swiftly. Have we got any more comments? Just because I'm going to laugh. Sorry.
It's the image, isn't it, Nick?
Sorry, it lost me there.
Train of thought.
Right. So I'm going to cough now. Where I've been laughing. I just have to mute the mic. Right. Anyway, back in the room. So who else have we got in the comments, Alan?
I think that's about it for the time being. Hang on 1 second. I was just checking something in a private chat.
If we had Keith's comment up.
Which one?
This one here, Keith Knight. Keith's an awesome bloke. I love Keith. Such a kind chap. He says, I've got 3 of the Palitoy Z Victor 4 talking police cars, 1 boxed original and 2 customs. Keith is an ex-policeman as well, so that's probably why he's interested in those. I can't say I've seen those. I'm not aware of that line.
Yeah. I was involved in designing 1 or 2 of those vehicles with the talking vehicles. The Batmobile.
Yes.
And that was very difficult getting the voice box in because I had to make the bubble, the sort of cockpit of the Batmobile, a bit bigger. It looks a bit odd, but I don't think it affected the kids. What was the other one I did? Oh, Who Loves You, Baby?
Kojak.
Kojak. Designed his car and 1 or 2 others. Yeah. Talking toys. They were Ozen. It was Ozen that made the voice boxes. Yeah, little records in.
Oh, okay. So these tiny little kind of discs. So like literally, it was playing a record inside the vehicle.
That's right. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah. I mean, the original Action Man voice box was a tape, which was called. But then we came up with we didn't, but out in the Far East, they came up with the record version, and then.
Right. I've got a question now. Is the mechanism, the record mechanism that's inside those police cars that Keith was talking about, is that the same mechanism that goes inside the Action Man field radio, the big backpack radio? Because I've got one of those. I bought it from a toy shop because it was sitting on the shelf thinking it was an Action Man. And when I got it home and put a battery in it, it works. You press a button, but it plays a siren and then things, and I couldn't figure out what it was from because I'd never had one of those police cars to play with. But it may be that I've got the mechanism for one of those sitting here somewhere.
Yeah, I think it was the same. I mean, it's over 50 flipping years ago. But
yeah, sorry.
It's from the same. It's from the same supplier, but whether it's exactly the same one, I'm not too sure.
Okay.
Just to jump in and say here, I don't remember the last number we read out, and I'm not going to try and bring it up on the screen because me and Alan have horrific trouble trying to bring things up without crashing the stream. But apparently your book now has 451 backers and is at £41,755.
Oh, very nice.
Wow.
So
very nice.
Oh yeah, I did see that. That's brilliant. I will thank you, Space Commander. I will get in touch with Zazel so he can do all the magical space transmitty stuff. And thank you very much, my lad. We really appreciate that. Cheers. So, this is Kim Gonick. This young lady here co-hosts a podcast with me, and she says, "Hope you're all excited about the book." That was probably an autocorrect on her phone or something. But yes, in answer to your question, me and Alan as fans and supporters are extremely excited, and I've seen these guys' reactions on other live streams today. I mean, I don't want to speak for them, but guys, how excited are you? Are you excited? Of course you are, but You know,
massively excited for this. This is like,
Give it.
I can visualize what the book's going to look like as it's coming together.
I see.
I can't wait to start sharing visuals with the backers. It's very, very, very exciting times.
Oh yeah, it's as I said earlier, not to wish life away, but April next year almost can't come soon enough, and it is gonna be absolutely awesome. Is there because I mean you're very generous with your time, and I don't want to repeat myself too much. Was there anything either you or Bob this evening, anything else you in particular wanted to say, or are you just happy to keep with the free form chat we're having right now, chaps? If there's anything you want to add.
Well, I say something first, shall I?
Absolutely.
First of all, I must thank Brian for believing in it. That's the main thing. I'd like to thank everybody that backed it. Even the people that gave just a few quid. I sent all the details to my sister and her 2 daughters, and they put a few quid in, which was very nice. They didn't buy the book, but you know, they wanted to back it for me. My son backed it, and he bought a book. And obviously I need to thank I can't remember the name now. I should know the names. Skeletron. It's my flipping name, isn't it? Must thank Skeletron for, you know, helping that little impetus at the end to get it over the line. 100%. Thank Tony Roberts, my mate from, really my first mate in this sort of collecting business, back when he came and approached me for doing the Action Man video that he made back in, when was it, Alan? 2011 or something like that?
2011 sounds about right.
Yeah, because I mean, that really started it all off. I mean, I did go to some of the meetings before then, but Tony really sort of set it all off, and been a good mate of his since, and helped him out, and he's helped me out, and it certainly helped us out. He's helped Brian and I out, and it was Brian that went to him and asked him to do the video, which really set it all going at the beginning of this project. So yeah, it's really touched me that, you know, so many people out there that's been helping this along, and well, that's all I got to say, really. Thanks for everybody.
No, and I just want to echo what Bob said there. And we were talking about this before we went on the live stream, lads, that it's a huge, you know, a successful Kickstarter like this is not about me or about Bob. It's about a whole community coming together. And there's been so much support from both yourself, Alan, and Nick. You know, you guys have been great from the very beginning and right through the campaign. People like Tony. And look, it's impossible for me to list everybody now in the moment. But when we're designing the book, one of my favorite parts of bringing the book design together is writing out the credits and going back over all my emails, going back over all my chats, my notes, and pulling together that list of people that really helps to make it happen. And it's a huge list. It always is huge. And you'll see that the acknowledgements in the Action Force books that I've done with Paddy, you know, it's a full page of credits. This is going to be easily that amount again, maybe even more. That there's so many people that we need to thank. But right now, in the moment, as we're kind of, you know, 15 minutes away from the campaign ending, we're already over the line of where we need to be. I just want to say thank you so much to the backers who came out in you know, in their hundreds to support this book and pledge and get it over the line, and to everybody who helped spread the word, you know, by liking, on commenting on posts, sharing posts, you know, getting us on to be interviewed. Thank you all so much. It's greatly appreciated.
Well, thank you guys for working together to get this out there for us guys to read and enjoy. It's certainly something we are all looking forward to. I've in the last month, 6 weeks or so, between Tony's campaign to rescue the Palitoy adverts and this campaign to fund Bob's book, I've seen so many people come together, and it's been amazing to see all these things for Palitoy's history just locked in and saved and made available for everyone and forevermore. So I think that's been really cool. I think there's some real good people in this community, and they stepped up when they were needed, and it's awesome.
Yeah,
absolutely. Well, you know, I'm excited about this book, and you mentioned about the TV commercials that were saved as well. I'm very excited for those. I know Tony's going to be adding them over time to a dedicated YouTube channel. There's some great material in there, you know, which is part of our childhood. You know, we would have seen all those commercials growing up as kids, and I know it spoke about this before, but the creativity of the people who made those commercials is, as a designer, as a visual artist, I can personally really appreciate that. I'm looking forward to seeing those commercials again.
Those commercials for me are brilliant because, excuse me, obviously I missed them because being born in '84, by the time TV was there for me, how I got into Action Man's not relevant right now, but you know, I got there. So all I've ever seen is really old grainy videos on YouTube. And I watched one the other day that was uploaded, and it was an Atomic Man one of him like punching through a wall of like little metal cubes. I was like, that's incredible. I'd never seen that before, and it was so cool to see it in such high quality and see this it sounding great. I was like, oh my god, adverts in the past were so much better and so much less annoying than adverts of today.
The funny thing is, that's one of the few adverts, certainly the Action Man ones, that Tony's put up so far that I don't remember ever seeing.
Wow. Okay.
I mean, there's one
toy lines where I've gone, oh, I remember them that I'd completely forgotten about as an adult.
There's I don't know if it's uploaded yet. I think it is. I hope I'm remembering right. Tony has uploaded the one where they're all stood in the line with the new dynamic physique Action Man with his top off coming along. Isn't there some story there that one of the designer's sons or something was there on the day and was playing up? I think I've heard that before. Alan, are you aware of that?
People told me that story. I think it was his son.
It'd probably be one of the marketing people.
There's a story goes. Sorry, Alan, do you know a bit more on that?
I remember being told that story at one of the Charmwood Action Man shows, and I can't remember if it was Dave Barnacle or somebody else that you brought along, Bob. But it was definitely somebody told me that story at Charmwood Arms many years ago.
I went to some of the shoots, but not. It's mostly it would be marketing's in control of that side of the business, you know, the advertising. So they would go along, but I went along to. I remember one going along to the SAS one. I went to that one. I remember that one distinctly, and that was interesting because that was done in Wimbledon in a garden of this big house with that like almost like a flipping forest in this garden, and they had the SAS troopers coming down zip lines and all this business, you know, and it was done just like a proper film. They had a chop wagon outside for food, and they had a director sitting on a flipping director's chair with a bottle of whiskey at the side, and
health and safety would never allow that these days.
I was just there ready to make sure they had the right equipment with the right guy business, and then I was standing on the porch of this house, and this woman came out, and it was the wife of, you know, the house, the lady of the house, and she started talking to me. She said, "What's going on here?" She says, "I said it's Action Man, and it's SAS," and she sort of turned to me. She went, "My husband was in the SAS." I thought, should you be telling me that? So yeah, and I went to an Action Force one as well, where you know, you're not into Action Force, you guys, are you?
I am, Bob.
I know Brian is, but do you know
just a bit?
Do you know the one where they're going up the steps and the camera sort of zooms, sort of pans down? Yeah. it's done with a special camera. With it's one of these sort of fisheye cameras or something. I went along to that one. That was quite funny. I've got some photographs of that somewhere. We'll have to put one of those in the book, Brian.
Yeah, Bob, they're going in.
That sounds great.
Going in.
And, I'm going to take a risk now. I'm going to try and share a screen with us because I've got something. This is a link that Brian sent me privately. I presume it's okay for me to share this, Brian. That's what you intended, is it?
Yeah, this is the game that Bob was describing earlier. Star Wars.
Right.
Oh, is it?
Hang on a second. I'm just going to share it now, but it might cause a problem with the stream.
You might blow us up.
Live chat ends.
Well, we're still here. There we go. Is that the game you're talking about, Bob?
That's it.
That's it.
There we go.
Packaging by Dave Barnacle.
If you can click on the image, Alan, it should give you a larger image. It should have the screen.
You can see the internet photographs of the actual game.
Is that blowing up on your screen now?
Yeah.
Yep.
And down the bottom of the box, close-up
There
shot.
you go.
Well, there you go. That's a really innovative game. Taking that kind of Etch-a-Sketch technology, integrating that. Kind of lights.
You can see the child. I think that's Dave. I think that's Dave's son, sort of twiddling the knobs.
Did Dave Barnacle do this artwork?
Yes.
Whoa, that's
artwork is just incredible.
Well, I say yes. I'm pretty sure he did, but I can't see who else did it. But it wasn't him. It would have to be approved by 20th Century Fox and all that. So it would have been done and then sent off. I think it was Dave, but I'm not going to swear to it.
We have a lovely selection of Dave Barnacle artwork that we can include in the book. So that is going to be a real treat for the readers. Dave's a brilliant artist, and he's probably very famous for his Action Man artwork, but he worked across a lot of different brands. So, and Dave, he illustrated the Action Force Cardboard Command Center. They've illustrated all those panels in the Cardboard Command Center. And Bob, am I right in saying he also did the Star Wars Death Star playset?
No, he didn't do that. That was done by the agency.
Okay.
And but what he did then, we got the artwork, and then Brian Turner, I put him on the job to get the mock-ups done for toy fairs and stuff, so forth. So he went to see Dave with the artwork, and Dave copied it and then printed off loads of prints, and Brian mocked up the mock-ups.
Brilliant.
So the ones you see in catalogues and that would be one of those mock-ups, or the ones in the adverts probably be the mock-ups.
We're down to the last 6.
Wow, yes, we are. Well, it's great because we know it's fully funded, but it's definitely worth seeing the campaign end. Knowing, I mean, I'm gonna have a look now. What I can't see on my screen.
If I can just for a minute, Sam, don't worry. I think it might have been before you came in, but Brian was saying that he will be setting up a pre-order page for people who miss out on the Kickstarter. So if you've missed out, don't worry, you'll still be able to order the book. And
I'm just seeing Sam's comment there. If you make the pledge now, your card isn't going to be charged until after the campaign ends. So, and if the funds aren't in the card right away, Kickstarter will try again in a couple of days. So if people still want to make a pledge in these last couple of minutes, you can absolutely do that. It will try and charge a card immediately after the campaign ends, but as I say, it will come back again in a day or two and try again if the funds aren't there at the time straight away. Of course, as Alan said there, I'll be getting a pre-order page up and running ASAP, so it could be Tuesday by the time I have that set up, and once we do, keep an eye on the socials. We'll start pushing that out there at that stage.
So Sam's a really nice lad. He American lad. He's only young. He's about 16 or 17, I believe, and he he collected vintage Joes, but he discovered Vintage Action Man, and he's a member of quite a few of the pages, and he does really well. He's really going for collecting the Vintage Action Man line, and he's really keen on it. So to think a guy that age has found it, and he's really passionate about it, so it still lives on. It's still attracting new fans every day, which is just brilliant.
That is great. It's great to hear that. You know, kind of another generation coming up where there's people in that generation still have that kind of interest, or you know, are curious about kind of a bygone era in toy design and production. So that, thanks for your support, Sam. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, brilliant. By the way, I'm seeing Dave Barnacle next week. I'm going over his place. We're going to scan some of his artworks for Cold Heritage.
Oh.
So I'm gonna check him out on that Star Wars Destroyed Death Star.
Yeah,
I'll let you know.
Bob, give him my regards.
I
got to interview Dave for the Total Action Force book, and just like everybody that I've met from Palitoy, he is just a really wonderful, kind, and generous person with his time, and it was a pleasure to interview him for the book.
So what's the? Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to witter on there. Sorry, I was just checking the time. Sorry, my apologies. Checking that we hadn't run past. So yeah, by my watch, my clock, my phone. Exactly 3 minutes to go. So
to go.
Just as I was pulling up the page to share it again earlier, but after we got rid of the picture of the Star Wars, I actually saw it go up again. It's obviously somebody made a pledge. I was hoping it by putting it on the screen we might get to see it go up a little bit more. But obviously it is live because it's gone down to 2 minutes on the actual page there now. So
2 minutes to go.
We really need to be playing the final countdown by Europe now.
I think that's the song I used earlier when I promoted it on Instagram. I think I used the final countdown by Europe. I did, yeah. It's crazy to think. Sorry, Alan, carry on.
Keith Knight's just upped his pledge to level 6.
Oh, Keith, you legend.
Keith Knight's just upped his pledge to level 6.
Top man, Keith.
If there's any retailers kind of watching the live stream here, there is a reward level 7, which is 4 signed books signed by Bob. So and it's a great package price for the 4 books for retailers. But here we go, 109 seconds, 108 seconds. We're counting.
I noticed it goes to seconds before.
It's just in the final seconds again. I just want to echo all of the thanks that myself and Bob have kind of expressed here on the show and on Ken's kind of live stream earlier as well. We're really grateful to all the backers. Really grateful to Ben and the Skeletron team for all their support. They've been wonderful. You guys, Nick and Alan, thank you so much. The guys at Generation Skywalker, Dan and the team over there, thank you so much. Chris and the Full Force, all the crew over there, thanks so much, guys. Tony, Analog Toys, again, you've been brilliant. And it's impossible to do a definitive kind of thank you this year because there's just so many people. Shout out to my creative colleague Paddy Lennon, who's been again super supportive. Thanks a million, Paddy. And the backers. Most importantly, the backers, the people who've kind of come on board and back this. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thanks to everyone who, when we've been pushing and plugging, has shared all our links as well to help get this over the line. It's been awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks, Skeletron.
So we must be there now, surely.
20 seconds. 20 seconds. Here we go.
Oh.
Okay, we can count it down, guys. Here we go.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3,
2, 1.
Boom, funded. This project was successfully funded on 18th of June 2023. £42,348, 455 backers.
is amazing, and it's so humbling and so grateful. Thank you all so much, and thank you guys for being with us at the very beginning of this campaign and at the very end. It's an honor and a privilege to be here with you guys, and look forward to seeing you at AmCon later this year.
Cannot wait. Wait. It's been great, and thank you for your time coming on the stream. Thank you for just everything you guys have done in general for the toy community and all the generosity you have with your time and everything. It's been fantastic. This last month's been crazy. I've enjoyed every minute of watching this campaign, checking it multiple times a day. It's been brilliant.
Perhaps we have designed the future paradigm for how Kickstarters should be done.
Perhaps. So, Alan, is it possible to drop the background out just so we can bring everyone on the main screen? Because I know that these chaps wanted to keep this pretty brief tonight.
Yeah, no problem. Hang on 1 second.
Just got a message from Chris McLeod. Congratulations on successfully funding the book. Lads, great job.
It's
thank you.
You want to drop the background
incredible.
as well?
Thanks, Chris.
VTR Dave, Vintage Toy Rush, just joined us. Is it backed? Yes, Dave, it is backed. It's there, man. It's made it, and it's cleared it a few grand over the goal. So it's done excellent. So, chaps, as discussed earlier, I believe you guys, Bob's feeling a little bit under the weather. I believe you guys wanted to keep it pretty sharp to the hour. So if you're happy to, unless you want to carry on talking, we're here for you if you want us to talk. But if you guys are happy, shall we wrap this up now?
Sounds like a plan, sir.
Okay.
So just to say before we do disappear, thank you to everyone who tuned in this evening. Thank you to everyone who was there for the first live stream. Thank you for everyone who shared our links. Thank you, Bob, for your time as ever. Thank you, Brian. Thanks for coming on. Is there anything else you guys want to say before we shut it down?
Yeah, I want to see you all in AmCon in December.
Yeah.
Looking forward to it.
Okay, guys, I'll shut this down now. Thanks for everything, everyone. Goodbye.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you and bye.